2, 1, go.
Hello and welcome to the Casper Association community call run by the Casper Association. Today we will give a technical update on our recent mainnet upgrade and discuss our recent partnership with SJM Group. We are joined today by Ralph, Piotr, Meda, Ashok and Saeed from Casper Labs. We will open up for a Q&A towards the end of the call, so please leave your questions down in the YouTube comment section or in our Telegram group, and we'll be sure to try and answer them by the end of the call. Thanks everyone for tuning in today and for being here. Be sure to subscribe, leave a like, rating if you'd like to, and thanks for joining. So handing it off to you, Ralph.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, it's exciting times here at the Casper Association. Piotr will briefly elaborate on some of the key areas. You know, staking is a topic. There is another update coming, 1.3, which is critical. And then, of course, separate from the association, the Casper Labs team will discuss together with Saeed what the plan is for the MENA region, and now that it's official, what exactly the official mandate or opportunity is for Casper Labs in that region. So Piotr, yeah, up to you. Over to you in terms of update on the association side.
Thank you very much, Ralph. It's Piotr from Casper Association, and as usual, I will start with our round on technical updates that are coming from Casper Network. We have a lot of good news today, so let me just go with them one by one. So first of all, the team is buttoning up the third major release and upgrade of the Casper Network. So this is a very big news for us. We are about to cut the release and then hand it over for internal tests. The next stage after that is testnet staging and upgrade, and we are finalizing this with the upgrading of the mainnet. So this is the plan for this month, in fact. And as for the details, what is inside 1.3 release, we have a whole list of improvements and fixes. So on the key changes, I can name, for instance, the network authentication change. So now we are prioritizing the validators over others just to speed up and optimize the whole process of handshake. Then we are also simplifying the gossiping mechanism. We introduced some complication there, and this complexity is being removed since it wasn't used. We are also adding an announcement to inform block proposer when deploy has been gossiped. So this is also the change that will optimize the whole process involving deploy acceptor. We are limiting outgoing traffic to a fixed amount per node, so that it also introduces more security. It's not possible to overflow the traffic between the nodes. The next feature that we are implementing is also to improve the liveness of the network. So we are excluding inactive validators from proposing blocks. In details, it means that if a validator was inactive in one era, he will be prevented from proposing blocks into the next era. Then we also introduce the separation between transfer and other deploys in the block proposal. So that is now done in a way that the separation is not distinguishable on the hash level, and that could lead to exploits. So now they are separated in the block proposal itself by first validating them in the block validator. We are also fixed issue where upgraded nodes would rejoin after being stopped and restarted. So very important for validators. As for on the feature side, we are fixed the issue with obtaining historical stake information. So that's the change on the RPC method. We also fixed the issue when newly added peers are always considered as the candidates for the downloading blocks. And also we improved the query state command that is now taking optional block identifier. Event stream also went through small enhancements. So we moved the finality signatures and deploys to separate SSE event stream. Now it's split into three: one for finality signatures, one for deploys, and third for the rest of the events. And we also fixed an issue with the current era metrics. So it was by accident set to 0 in the first era, and now it's fixed. We're also working on the smart contracting part. So that is mainly highlighted by the constant audit changes. And we also improved the local key support and added new method get account info on our RPC. And all of these changes, they will be packaged and staged as of most probably as of tomorrow. So that means that we will freeze the branch, will prevent the branch from being changed. Only bug fixes will be there, and then this branch will be used for internal tests, then testnet and mainnet upgrades. So getting back to my list, the current status of the mainnet. So mainnet is now with second major upgrade is the following. Let's just check on the website on Casper Live. We have 126,000 blocks as for the block height, with 100 active validators out of 116 bits. So we have auction process ongoing, and we have nearly 4 billion CSPRs staked. So that's healthy network. Speaking about staking, our community is becoming more and more active in terms of staking. So there are many ways to do so. You can use command line tools. You can use Casper Live. You can use your wallets. So web wallet, the wallets that are coming also from the independent providers, and the whole staking process is quite intuitive. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them on our Telegram or Discord channels. We will surely help you. We have also dedicated channels for validators. Our validators are producing videos. You can find them on YouTube, how to stake. So this is becoming more and more intuitive process, and I think it will be even more user-friendly in the future. And speaking of wallets, it's also worth to mention about the Ledger. So with Ledger, it's awaited by many. We are now undergoing security review, and that means that it's one of the final stages before Ledger will be upgraded with Casper support. So that's, I think, very good news that many was waiting for. And getting back to the current focus, so on the protocol side, we are working on equivocators. So it's like optimization that they should be removed in a specific time from the list of validators that are allowed to bond. Then on the node side, we are fixing small issue on event stream side. So we will not have duplicate events anymore. And we also work on deploy acceptor, which will validate associated keys. Test and SRE team are working hard in order to make sure that our networks are up and stable. We are also improving our integration tests, the tests that are automated in order to make sure that we are discovering all the issues early on and fixing them before staging the upgrades. Ecosystem, we already released the patches for both 1.4 and 2.0 versions of JS SDK. On Casper Signer, we are getting final reviews for 1.3 candidate, and this will be most probably released this week. So also very good news. Many new features and enhancements are coming. And we are constantly upgrading our documentation and courses. So we are able to catch up with the changes that are being introduced both on the ecosystem side and the upstream, so the core. Yes, I'm just getting notifications from Meta. So we finished the work on the call stack. So that's the big thing for the team and for the product. And the main focus on ecosystem team is NFTs. So the topic that is getting a lot of traction. I think here we'll have a very good news very soon. I think the majority of the team, of the ecosystem team, is now working solely on this topic. and we are working on implementation of our own standard CEP 47. On finishing with ecosystem news, we are also integrating the Civic, so our MetaCask clients, and that is about to be finalized. All right. Economic research, Alexander.
Yes, in fact, on the research side, we are also heavily involved in the NFT work, but our specific part of that mostly deals with how the NFTs are used, which is why we are in fact finalizing a spec for a general, auction contract that can be used to transfer NFTs. In fact. And we are expecting to start working on the prototype of that probably early next week. The gas cost pipeline rework is on the back burner, but I'm hoping to get to it back to it this week.
Great news. I'm just checking for DevX DAO friends, so give me a second. I see Wolf, Tim, and Timothy with us. So with that, I think we can start the update, our weekly update from DevX DAO. Hello.
Hey guys. Yeah, can you hear me? Okay. So quick update. So we have increased the amount of voting associates, otherwise known as members. We call them voting associates. Last week from 11 to 16. This week on Thursday we should get up to 20. So we're growing quite quickly currently. We also have continued to make quite a bit of progress in bug fixing and various sprints that upgrade the portal that the DAO is using. So for instance, we're changing the voting engine logic for the quorum calculation for the formal votes that are in the DAO. We have swapped out the user onboarding process from HelloSign to ScrollCheck. We are opening all proposals for view at this point in the proposal lifetime, so meaning anybody can view, including simple associates, so people who have registered on the form. We have a host all proposal table now. There's several other smaller bug fixes that are ongoing every week. We're also launching a simplified grant form based on user feedback. And we have updated the PDF system, the detail viewer, the edit forms, among several other things on the system. So these changes are ongoing every week. New sprints are happening and are being pushed into the pipeline. We also now are talking to clone the existing beta version of the governance system that the DAO is using. We have 5 different applicants right now who are looking to evaluate our beta version. That is the Memory DAO, which we'll speak next week on this channel. We also have a major discussion with the learning economy. This is a collaboration with the World Bank and Harvard, among others, that are also thinking about cloning our beta version of the governance design. We're also talking to a gaming company right now that is using the portal and the MVPR, so the governance system for their DAO. This is the Crucible DAO they would be creating a meta DAO. We're also in early conversations with a potential water polo sports league that is looking for decentralizing their governance. That would be another governance clone. So there are multiple community onboarding efforts going on in this context. And maybe we should talk a little bit more concretely about the grants in the system. Tim Messer, if you want to share your screen, I can start and talk about number 60.
Yeah, go ahead. I need a moment to grab the screen share anyhow.
Sure. So we have added. Let me just check here. We have now another 5 active grants in the system just from this week, where all the grants agreements were just executed, and these respective teams are now working on their milestones. So number 60 is the Syntify AG, which collaborates with the Lucerne University of Applied Science and Arts. They have put in a regulatory compliance grant that was just approved by the voting associate community. And here, under this grant, the Casper Foundation and any project being built on Casper has, as well as members of the ecosystem, that is, so that would be financial service providers, law firms, exchanges, digital asset companies, and DeFi platforms. They can now fulfill their regulatory compliance globally under the system that they're building under this grant. People will be able to report suspicious activity and better manage risk and compliance through the solution that is being proposed here by the Syntify team. This will all be built on the Casper blockchain, and is, as I said, intended to benefit the Casper community. Tim, if you want to go ahead with the other ones.
Yeah, for sure. I got it. So Wolf did a great job of going over number 60 here. The next one up is this one is related to some of the improvements that Wolf was talking about that are ongoing. This is us basically promising or doing what we promised to do and paying the people who actually work on the MVPR for us. So things like the integration of Stripe payments, you can now pay the DOS fee with just a credit card. The public viewer that a bunch of people have used, bunch of UX upgrades, bunch of database upgrades. You know, just like this is an entire month of work that has gotten us very far down the road. And so this one's been really great. Charles and the Ledger Elite team have been amazing on that, and they're continuing working. Obviously, like we just finished June, we're going to see another one like this with which has a bunch of extra updates from them. But moving on from there, we also have the first step in our localization effort for the Turkish community. The Turkish community has been a real find for Casper and the DevX DAO. There's been a huge amount of interest from them. They initially got involved in the testnet that was led by the DevX DAO, and one of the prominent members in that community, Muhammad Kara, came to me and was basically like, hey, could I translate both the DevX DAO website and the Casper tech spec into Turkish to, you know, basically help communicate with all of these people that we're working with more natively? And I was like, you know, not just yes, but heck yes, like let's definitely do that. So this is the full and past proposal after those conversations. Muhammad has been great. He is also a primary contributor to the LibreOffice project, so I am really looking forward to having him on as a voting associate here very quickly, because he's already mostly done with this. Like after he saw that, you know, the voting was going well, he started on a lot of this in good faith, and, you know, above and beyond just getting the translations done, Muhammad has even figured out a great basic path for adding more translations through Transifex. So that is going to continue to be our base of operations. I know we have another grant for a French translation that's working through the system right now, and like everything's just going to be using Transifex to make it really easy to integrate in new efforts, new conversations, and any updates that might need to happen in case, for example, the Casper tech spec gets updated, right? So that's all extremely exciting. Not for you know, like acknowledging the decentralization also means crossing cultural lines, and also just the outrageously cool dev that we are getting in the Casper community as part of this effort. Moving on, a push button node orchestration. This one is also really exciting to me. This is basically an open source Infura clone. So it's a really big boon to the Ethereum community. Basically, just be able to push a button. You've got a node. You're able to run whatever you need against that node. Game tape solved. But it's also been pointed out extremely reasonably that that Infura is a point of massive centralization in the Ethereum community. So David Tai, one of the original members of the DevX DAO, has been working on something, and this actually predates this grant by quite a bit. He's been working on an idea to allow for basically bring your own cloud, bring your own Docker image, and having that all work together to just be able to provide you the push button capability of Infura, but you can launch your own instance of it. You can bring all of the things that you need, and you can even bring your own cloud. So it's not all just running on AWS. So this is an incredibly impactful grant. I'm really happy to see this one pass, and we can expect very good things out of this technology. And then moving on from there, yes, developing DLN social smart contracts and DeFi treasury investment policy. So we had a gentleman named Dr. Adel El Nasiri introduced to us a little bit ago, and he has a wonderful idea for not just bringing real value to unbanked people and the people who are currently underserved by current financial infrastructures and policies, but also doing incredible research and bringing a great way to bring value to people who are already invested in a system. And effectively, there's a ton of research and a ton of thought out there about how basically you handle all of the macroeconomics of the modern financial infrastructure through blockchain. There's great work, and that's absolutely something that needs to happen. But there's a couple of really intractable questions that maintain from that. And Dr. Adel believes, and the DAO ultimately agreed with him, that a great way to attempt to answer those questions is to look at what blockchains can do from the perspective of microfinance institutions. And he's already got 6 microfinance institutions that are already in existence, that are already ready to go in on this. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce some of these because my stupid American tongue will definitely butcher them. But we can see these publicly on the grant right here, and effectively what this grant is proposing is to go out and create a number of smart contracts that will allow these institutions to make the microloans available to the people who need them most. And it also helps people who are currently in the infrastructure or in the ecosystem, because where does the collateral come from for these where does the infrastructure come from for these sorry, I looked at chat and it completely broke my train of thought.
I have to make sure never to do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That I should be more collected than that. But anyway, where does the collateral come from? From folks who are already in the communities, and so folks that are already on Casper. Once we've got this going, everybody's going to be allowed to work into this infrastructure and profit from it, while they also help the poorest people on the planet. So just absolutely incredible stuff there. And then this was, I was like, I'm pretty sure this one was in here, but yeah, this was the other translation that I was talking about. We're going to be getting Casper Labs professionally done into French, and like I mentioned before, that is going to work off the TransFX architecture that Muhammad has started out for us. So everything will be easy for people to work with, and just like we're pushing forward on a number of pathways here. I could not be more excited. I could not be more thankful to Casper for being so supportive of the DevX DAO and this incredible enterprise that we're embarked on together. That's all I've got. I appreciate everybody's time. You know, back over to you, Ralph. Or Piotr. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks,
no worries. A lot of excitement, yes. So I am sharing my screen again. All right. So with that, I think we can get back to the next point of our today's community call. So the partnership. So we have our special guest, Khalid. Are you with us?
Hey everyone, Saeed here.
All right, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Piotr. Really, really excited and very proud of the team for making this happen and bringing home the reality that Casper Network and Casper Labs is staying in the Middle East and North African region for the long term. Really put in a lot of hard work to make this happen. I think the partnership with His Highness Sheikh Jum Al Maktoum, who is the brother-in-law to the ruler of Dubai, shows the commitment from the government and from the royal family to actually, adopt enterprise-grade blockchain in Casper Network in the region. This announcement has actually been pending for a couple of months. We did actually sign the agreement a couple of months ago, but for certain reasons, we couldn't make the announcement until we had the all clear from the authorities in the UAE. But I think it's a great start for us and the work that we're doing in the MENA region. I think the UAE is the hub spot for emerging technologies in general in the region, but more so blockchain technology. We have had a tremendous amount of really exciting conversations that have happened specifically in the UAE. And we will be expanding our efforts once we have a really strong foothold in the UAE. We'll be looking to spread that throughout the region, starting off with the GCC, neighboring GCC countries, and then on to North Africa and the Middle East in general. I think the next steps that we have and the outlook that we have is we're in the final stages of setting up the UAE entity and getting the UAE license to operate here. And then I think the next step, once we're fully set up, is to actually bring on resources. I think a technical lead to start with will be very important. Somebody who can speak the enterprise business language and somebody who can speak to the technology as well. That's going to be extremely important to start with. I have had several conversations with really exciting candidates who I think will do a really good job for us. Once that's done, then I think we'll bring on several engineers to support once we onboard clients here in the region. And then probably some people on the business development side. But I think the strategy is definitely long-term. Personally, I'm really happy to see that the team has really, put their money where their mouth is. And they've actually gone ahead and gone through all the steps that were required to get this partnership announced. And, I think the vision from the C-suite and the management team has been extraordinary in that they've seen the extremely high potential that there is here and that there's a lot of work to be done, and they're not afraid of putting in the hours and resources that are needed. So I think over the next few months and the next few years, there's definitely going to be a lot of announcements that are coming out. This is just the first of many. I do know that there are a couple that are in the pipeline. Once we've signed those off, then expect to see more announcements from the UAE. And then in the medium term, expect to see a lot of activity in the Middle East and North African region in general. But I'm very proud of everybody who's put in a tremendous amount of effort to make this happen. And I can't stress how excited I am for the near term and the long term future as well. Mira, maybe you want to shed some light into what's happening?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So what I can say is, Casper Labs, the company, we are having really exciting conversations with enterprises in the MENA region almost every single day, if not every day. And, these are like, we love startups, right? Obviously, we love startups, we love innovative startups, but these are big players, right? We're talking to government entities, we're talking to large technology companies in the area, folks, not unlike, even IBM in terms of their scale and size in the MENA region. And what's really terrific about this part of the world is that they are very eager to adopt the technology, and their structure enables them to move quickly, right? So one of the big problems you have with governments is that there's a lot of bureaucratic red tape. That is not the case in the UAE, specifically. Their structure allows them to move much, much more rapidly than a lot of the other government entities that you will see out there. So I'm really, really excited about this. We are looking for really fantastic use cases that adopt Casper technology. Even in private and permissioned and consortium chains. And we think that this is a great opportunity for us to discover and partner with these companies and entities in the region. So I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, and thanks for the countless amount of 3 a.m. Eastern time or 5 a.m. Eastern time or 7 a.m. Eastern time calls that you've been coming on Meta. I think you've been really dedicated to the cause, and I really appreciate your support. But I think we're looking for making the maximum amount of impact and making a big difference in as many people's lives as possible in the UAE and in the region. And I think by working with really important government entities, that's the best way to kind of make the most impact, and also to actually ensure that there's maximum usage on the network and maximum number of transactions. Because if the majority of your population is using a specific activity or use case by a government entity, then that will mean that the number of transactions is quite high on the network. And ultimately, that's what's going to make us successful, is if we can bring on the adoption and if we can bring on the usage of CSPR, then that'll be amazing for everybody involved. But yeah, that's the type of projects we're talking to, the type of entities we're talking to. But we're also talking to large corporations in the private sector who are very meaningful in the region. So that's very, very interesting, and a lot of very important conversations to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like for us, our focus is primarily on enterprises, and we're fully focused on private and hybrid and permissioned and consortium implementations. Casper, because it's proof of stake, it lends itself to a much more rich governance model than, say, Ethereum private chains, right? With Ethereum, you really can't govern proof of work, which is great in a decentralized permissionless way. But when you're looking to do a consortium chain or permission chain, you really do need to govern the participants, right? And proof of stake lends itself to that really, really beautifully, right? So from that perspective, we're in a really good place. And compared to Hyperledger really doesn't ever give you an option to someday work with a public blockchain, which is a unique value proposition that Casper has, is that we always have the public blockchain as something that companies can look to if at some point in the future they want to move or migrate to a public infrastructure, they can choose to do that, right? It's very well known that our roadmap, you know, the Casper Labs team and collaboration with the association, we want to implement sharding, right? So sidechain sharding, not computational sharding, but sidechain based sharding is something that is very much on our backlog. And, you know, the ETA in collaboration with some of the core developers are looking at a bridge as well, right? So bringing bridges on board and you working with the IBC, the Inter-Blockchain Communication Protocol, is something that we are also planning, right? So there will be this bridge sidechain sharding implementation that is planned in 2022. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'd love to hear from the community if they want to ask specific questions. I'll be more than happy to answer. But really exciting stuff and a lot of updates to come.
We got a question in YouTube right now. Having companies researching and developing other projects, how does Casper introduce this technology and convince them to build on it? So the way, you know, when we talk about the Casper protocol, we really talk about core features at layer 1 that enable enterprise to do the things they need to do with blockchain technology. We see blockchain technology as a part of a larger application architecture, right? So when you think about companies, they have a lot of IT infrastructure already in place, and it's not realistic to expect them to chuck it all out the window to make it work with blockchain, right? And so a lot of the blockchain protocols out there, they are very they're kind of living in their own bubble. They have these custom languages, they have custom build processes, they have custom everything. And yeah, it's really cool to develop a new language, but it's not very pragmatic, right? You really can't build a business off of a language that doesn't have broad industry support, that doesn't have integrated development environment support, that you can't recruit and hire people for, right? And so we just said, you know, we're not going to, that's not where we're going to innovate. Right, we chose explicitly to not innovate by creating a new custom language. We actually went with WebAssembly, and now you can hire anybody that knows C++ can learn Rust in about 3 to 4 weeks, and then they can start writing smart contracts on Casper. And writing smart contracts on Casper lets you work with an integrated development environment, which is how businesses build technology. It's how all software has been built for 20 years, right? So you don't need to do something special like Truffle and Ganache, which is blockchain centric, right? We don't want to be blockchain centric. We want to be enterprise centric. So we meet enterprise on their turf, right? Casper comes to enterprise and makes it easy for enterprise to use blockchain technology as a tool, right? It's not about blockchain technology for itself. Blockchain technology is part of a larger application architecture. Casper meets them on their ground, not the other way around. And so that's how we are really different. And when you talk to enterprise about this, they understand it immediately. That is a trust tool, a trust layer tool, or collaboration tool. They understand that. And that really resonates with them.
Thanks, Meda. So, Saeed, hello. I have a question here. Will the companies and/or government of Dubai need to hold CSPR in order to use whatever they create over at Casper? I mean, we can expect the government to be a massive holder of CSPR.
Not a huge holder, but I mean, if they want to use the permissionless network, then of course for the transactions, you know, there has to be a fee associated for the validators. So I think, you know, there will be a certain amount of tokens that they will need, but I think that's not the kind of the ultimate aim. I think as long as there is the use case on Casper network and there is a need for participants in the network, especially those that are in the Middle East, and especially transactions related to the governments, then I think that will drive the demand for CSPR tokens. And I think that's probably what the community member is alluding to. I don't think they should look at if the governments or the actual entities are going to hold tokens. I think it's more around the usage and the transactions that are going to be needed and the number of CSPR tokens that are going to be needed to pay for these transaction fees.
Absolutely. And another question here, what kind of projects will the SJM group be building or using Casper blockchain for? can we have any hints about the types of things that will be going on in the future?
Yeah, so I think you can see the classic and low-hanging fruit use cases that are, already being used out there. So I think when it comes to certain specific use cases related to probably authentication or track and tracing, supply chain management, and the classic use cases for blockchain. But I think also in terms of in the financial services industry, you should expect to see some use cases there. But the importance of the SJM partnership is actually because we're partnering with them, and we're directly associated with the royal family and the ruling family in Dubai. That gives us a lot of kind of or gives the government entities that we're talking to a lot of comfort, and kind of endorses us and makes the conversations that we're having much easier, because if they know that we're partnered with significant people in the region, then then they know that we are the real deal, and that we do mean business, and we do want to do things the right way, and we do have to make sure that we uphold the reputation of our partners as well in the region. So I think it's a much better conversation, much easier conversation, and also it just gets us straight through to the decision makers in these government entities and private sector corporations that we're talking to. So that partnership is ultimately the doorway to having fruitful discussions and meaningful discussions to incentivize and motivate the enterprises that we're talking to at least give it a try and listen to what we have to say, and kind of let us educate them and help them understand how we can help them, and them knowing that we will have support on the ground in the region is also definitely very encouraging for them. So I think this partnership is more than just which projects or which use cases are going to be used on Casper network, rather which types of significant enterprises we can actually speak to directly.
Brilliant, thank you, Saeed. Guys, if we have any more questions for Saeed or in general, please let us know, and we'll try and get them out before the end of the call. Does anyone else have any other comments? If that's it, we can wrap this up. There's don't seem to be any more questions coming in, so I'll wrap this call up. Thank you to everyone for watching. It's always very appreciated, everyone showing up here. And to those that missed this, obviously we share the links for this in our Telegram, and you can watch this afterwards after the event. So thanks for everyone for showing up. Please subscribe, leave a like rating. If subscribing with a bell notification on will show you when we're live or upload a video, so you never miss that. And thank you, Saeed, for joining us today. I'm sure you'll be back many times, so really appreciate you coming on here today. And
my absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks
Saeed.
to everyone. Have a great day.
Have a good one.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Friends.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.